Very high none. These are flammable. What they would do is take it out, peel all of what we call spray lattice to cover it on it. Spray lattice is actually black. Sometimes we see some being prepared, and then they spray them white to reflect the heat. What that'll do is lower the temperature inside the aircraft from something that might be 180 degrees down to maybe 130. So it does help preserve the inside. Just past the plane there that has 2 seats in it. Most of these are all single seat. Two-seaters are used for training.
Soms zit een dual seat, dan is die kap gelopen. Er is er nog enkele.
It's not cheap to do that. It might cost $20,000 aircraft to cover.
Hij zijn verschillend, hè?
Navy used some removable covers, which saves about $14,000 to $20,000. And on your left are some wings of the A-10 Thunderbolt II, the Warthog, which you've probably heard today flying over. There are actually more operations today than we've seen in a while, and they're on training flights. These wings are being overhauled and rebuilt in order to extend the life of the aircraft. Now, aircraft's life is measured in flight hours. They get to a certain level, and of course they give it a thorough inspection, but you just don't know when cracks are going to form, so they rebuild them to extend that life. Coming up on the right are some C-130 Hercules. This is a cargo plane, probably one of the most successful ever built. They're over 50 years old. And they are spray lattice. You see there's some black under those, or that one with the it's just a spray on like you'd spray paint on a car. On the left is what we call conformal pylons. These fitted on the wings of B-52 bombers, and each carry 6 cruise missiles. 2 pylons on a B-52 with 8 of them in a rotating bomb bay would give them 20 cruise missiles. That's a pretty potent aggressive force. I'm not quite sure why they spray latted them, because you know, they keep reducing the number they have operationally. They build about, by the way, over 700 B-52s, and about 80 are still flying. Okay, now as we turn the corner on the right are some of the A-10s that are standing by to be reworked. And we are entering what we call Celebrity Row. Those aircraft that have either been here, or there may be many of them. On the left, the first one is called an OB-1 Mohawk. This was a U.S. Army airplane, one of the few we have here. This was used in Vietnam for forward spotting, light attack. Been around a long time. Okay, the next one on the left is the S-2 Tracker. This is a carrier-based anti-submarine warfare aircraft. Carried a sensor called a sonobuoy. When you eject it from the aircraft, it floats on the surface of the water, lowers a hydrophone down about 200 feet, and that's how they listen and track submarines. On the right is its successor, the S-3 Viking. This plane came out about 1972 operationally. It's now been retired. And the S-2s, for instance, are being used to fight fire fighters. And on the right is another carrier-based aircraft. This is an SC-1 freighter. It's used in an operation we call the COD, Carrier On-Board Delivery. This is the kind of aircraft that would take people, money, mail, small parts aboard an aircraft when it was aircraft carrier. On the left is a good front view of a Navy F-14 Tomcat. It's what we call a swing wing aircraft. The outer wing panels sits straight out for takeoff, landing, and tight airborne maneuvers. These are being scrapped right now. It was way back when we sold a few to Iran. When the Iranians sort of split off on their own, they had to ground them because they couldn't buy parts. So to keep parts out of their hands, we were scrapping all of ours. And they're high-time aircraft, so they were due to be replaced anyway. And on the right is a very successful cargo plane called the C-131 Samaritan. In the civilian world, it was called a twin-engine Convair, which was very popular with the airlines for medium-range flights for many years. DC-9s and Boeing 737s is what replaced it. And to the left is the first of a series of helicopters. This is called the H-3 Sea King. It's used by the Air Force, the Navy, the Coast Guard, and a number of our allies for sea air rescue. Also, it can be used for anti-submarine warfare that has a sensor called dipping sonar installed. Sonar is a listening device. They just hover over a spot, lower it into the water, and that's how they track it. Then they can retrack it. Next to it is a small ASW helicopter, the H-2C Sprite. This would be on the smaller ships, like frigates or destroyers, whereas the H-3 might be on a cruiser, and definitely an aircraft carrier.